All right, well, we'll go ahead and get rocking and rolling. For those of you that are going to be listening to this later or through the podcast episode, today we're just going over how to build a morning routine. It's a common subject that I think that we've seen pop up, both with our clients and with really people in general, just not knowing how to start the day. The biggest reason we like to talk about, setting the day right with a morning routine is if you don't set your day right, you start the day pretty reactive. So things pop up and all of a sudden everything that's thrown at you, you are responding to versus taking control and establishing a good routine to start with. So we'll get started. So building a morning routine to be healthy, a simple and effective framework for more energy and productivity. And look, you'll see people have 3-hour morning routines, or they have a structure set up where, they are just diving into their day from the get-go. And so you'll see that full spectrum kind of pop up, and, there's no wrong answer, but the, I guess, worst answer is to just think about being able to just react to everything that pops up versus actually taking control of the moment and control of your day and setting yourself up to have, lower cortisol levels throughout the day and to manage stress a little bit better, and also be able to be a little bit more present in each specific moment. So why it matters. Mornings set the tone for the day. From the moment you wake up, you get to kind of decide what that day looks like and what that day is going to hold. I've always loved the approach that Urban Meyer would say, where it's basically you have whatever event pops up and you add that to whatever reaction you have, and that equals the outcome that pops up. And so as you are setting yourself up, you can't really control the event, but you can control that outcome, or you can control the reaction that's going to impact that outcome. So a good morning routine is going to set for better energy throughout the day, better mood, better productivity. The biggest thing we see is you'll see influencers or people put out saying you need this 3-hour routine, start with grounding and cold plunge and sauna and walking and lemon water and all this different stuff. And it's 3 hours, and you'll hear people say the flip side of it, where it's yeah, that sets them up to have a great productive day, but also it's 3 hours that you could be working, or you could be spending time with family, or it could be productive. So you get, kind of just the bulk of your day and the bulk of the work over with earlier. And, that doesn't make the 3-hour routine wrong, but it probably means it's not right for what you have going on. So the goal is a flexible routine, but also having it built into a non-negotiable structure that fits you and everything you have going on required of you in the mornings, so that way it does set you up to be successful throughout the day. And establishing that and understanding what parameters it kind of has to work within will really dictate how you feel throughout the day. So some key kind of questions that we like to think about when we're establishing that morning routine, it's how much time do I have? Do I have 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Am I someone who you don't need a lot of time to feel like you are in full control of your day? Or are you someone that you need to fully wake up and you need time to process before you actually start taking on information and taking on, kind of those outside factors? And that can change per person. And some people say my day starts in a rush all the time. Well, if it starts in a rush, you probably need to wake up earlier. There's no sugarcoating it. If you're someone's rushing out the door, you need to develop the self-discipline to wake up earlier and allow yourself to establish a routine for the day so you take control of the day. And that can be hard to hear. It can be a tough lesson, but the sooner you learn it, the sooner you actually become able to control what happens to you throughout the day, how you react to those, and ultimately impacting those outcomes. So what does my mind and body need first thing in the morning? And everyone's different. Everyone's going to think okay, I just have to go get my cup of coffee, but coffee likely isn't the first thing you kind of want to resort to. I like to think about it in 3 categories and thinking what you need in those 3 categories, and then kind of progressing from there. So the essentials that you absolutely have to have are obviously movement, because you want to start the day feeling refreshed. You want to start the day feeling confident in yourself. And also it's the easiest time to kind of develop some consistency from that perspective. And it doesn't have to be a big workout, but we'll dive into that in a minute. Food, obviously our body has to be nourished. We just became off of a fast. So whether you had dinner at 8 p.m. or you had 6 p.m., you went a certain amount of time without nourishing your body. And so that's one of the first things we have to focus on, is making sure we're actually getting that nourishment back in. And hydration. We sweat all the time. You're in your bed, you're under covers, you are perspiring all the time. And so we are getting dehydrated throughout the night. And so regardless of whether you like drinking water in the morning or electrolytes or anything, your body's dehydrated. And so you have to kind of get that hydration level back up. And so those are the things that I always try and prioritize. Now, there are some other areas that you can kind of focus on or build within that. But those are the like prerequisites of things that you should have no matter what. So then you have to think about what can derail the morning. And this helps us develop like what are those non-negotiables that can pop up. So, is it late nights? Is it phone scrolling, skipping breakfast? Is it the dog waking up, the kids waking up? Is it having to make breakfast for everyone? Like knowing all of those circumstances, or are you someone that travels and the routine's going to be different every day? You can have non-negotiables that apply to anything that regardless like what situation you're in, those work. And you can have kind of some negotiables where it's like, okay, I'm on the road, this doesn't work, or I'm home and this works. But understanding which ones you're going to do no matter what can be a little bit more broad. Say for me, it's usually a little bit of movement, food, getting your hydration level, and then a little bit of basically self-reflection, kind of setting myself up for the day and being grateful for what's in my life, and also thinking about the ambitions that I have moving forward. And that's been an important area for me to grow, as I had to, kind of recognize that I wasn't going to, I didn't have anyone to tell me exactly what to do every day. I own my own business, right? So I don't have a boss standing there saying I got to do these things. And so I had to develop that structure, and starting with these non-negotiables helped really kind of form what that looked like. So start where you are. It doesn't have to be like anything crazy, but even that little bit of 5 minutes of setting your day up correctly can make a big difference. Now, Maddie, I am curious, do you have a morning routine already?
Yes, I do. I always get up, work out, and kind of start my day off with a good breakfast. And that's just, I like that because I know I'm always starting, however my day goes, I always start it with a workout and it sets me up in a good spot at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, yeah. What made you put it in the morning and not like later in the day?
I think swimming forever just has always made me a morning person. And I like starting the day off after a workout. Like you get that boost of energy, like you feel like you've accomplished something, even if the rest of the day goes haywire. I got my morning workout in, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Makes a big difference. And regardless kind of what's thrown at you, you're able to start the day in a good place and know you've already gotten your movement in. That's great. So the core four, of really just having a strong morning routine. These areas are the, kind of non-negotiables that you should be thinking about in every morning routine. It's hydration. Like I said, you are dehydrated, and so you should start the day with 16 to 24 ounces of water. If you can't stomach 16, 24 ounces, starting with 6 ounces or 8 ounces is perfectly fine. But starting somewhere, because you do need to rehydrate. I'm a big believer. I think most of our team, and I actually haven't asked Maddie this, so I'll ask her in a second, but I think most of our team believes that you need electrolytes first thing in the morning. It's incredibly, incredibly important. And so as think about that, you can add like salt and pink Himalayan salt and lime to your water in the morning. Some people don't like that taste. Electrolytes are fine. You just need to think about kind of what the electrolyte source is. We're a big fan of Drip Drop. We think Drip Drop is just kind of has the breakdown of the electrolytes that we want. And also it's like lower sugar than a lot of the other options. So one thing you don't want to do is pack those, that hydration first thing in the morning with a ton of sugar. I'd always suggest like read the back of the label, look at the sweeteners you have. Do you have an aspartame in there? Do you have a stevia extract? And, are they artificial dyes, or is it, this is a color change by, just fruit flavoring or whatever that is. But just think about what you're taking in, and you can use some common sense applied to that. You don't have to be, a dietitian, which like we obviously have some on our team, but you don't have to be an expert to be able to kind of decipher the back of that label and just realize when you're putting quality ingredients versus non-quality ingredients into your body. Movement. This is one that I think I struggle with the most. Before I move on to movement, Maddie, do you do electrolytes in the morning, or what do you think about electrolytes in the morning?
I do it usually after my workout just because if I drink anything, like I can't drink too much before my workout. That just doesn't work for me. Some days I mix it up. I'll drink like a green juice that has some stuff in it, or I really like the Mio that has electrolytes in it.
Mio's good. I love Mio. Yeah, I mean, and that's obviously like going to be unique to you, right? Where it's like you're working out first thing in the morning, and you can't have a ton of liquid in your stomach, and that probably dates back to the swimming days too, where it's like you don't want to be too full when you're staring at a black line and swimming 10,000 yards.
Yeah, in the morning before swimming, I would eat a half of a granola bar because that's all I could handle in the morning.
Yep, yep. And yeah, I mean that's just the way it's got to be. Some people are very different. Some people we'd see in the team room like scarfing down, a full bagel with peanut butter or cream cheese or whatever, and it's like that's a lot. I was never that guy. So cool. Well, next area, like I says, movement. This is one I think I struggle with the most, especially in the winter. And we even have the structure in place to be able to like do it no matter what. We have a home gym, we have a walking treadmill. For those that like don't really know what to start with, it can even start with like we're doing the 10 to 20 push-ups, or we're doing some air squats or something just like light like that to get moving. Stretching is a great place to start. I think a hack that everyone should have is they should have a walking treadmill in their house. They're $100 to $150 on Amazon. It's the easiest way to get steps in and some movement in the morning. And the thing that I just suggest is it's easy to like, okay, we're getting on the walking treadmill, and so we're kind of like accomplishing the movement part. But if you skip down number 4, there's mental priming and setting the right mindset. If you're on it, don't sit there and just be like scrolling through your phone. Put your phone away, take some time to kind of think and process and do some breath work, or even just think, let yourself kind of let your mind wander and focus on just like all the million things you have to accomplish during the day. But let your mind have some time to kind of sort out your thoughts, so you're not just diving into already being fast, like you're walking and you're thinking and you're already multitasking, versus allowing your body to kind of naturally come to a focused state. But movement of any sort is just incredibly important to starting the day in a good place. Fuel. Some people really do struggle with breakfast. I know we have a client who, it took us 3 months just to get him to eat a banana in the morning, and come to be that we actually realized that like it wasn't actually because of him not being able to eat, but he had some underlying GERD. And so it's like we resolved that, and then we were able to build into like actually eating a full breakfast. Now we have processes in place to like find that stuff out faster, and so that we were able to kind of resolve those things beforehand. But regardless of kind of your appetite in the morning, it is incredibly important to get some fuel in, because again, we need to like think about the fact that we've been fasting and we want to get some energy in our body first thing in the morning. And energy, and again, I'm spending a lot of time on this, but we'll break it down a little bit more in a minute. It's not kind of some just like tangible things you can think about, but energy is food from calories, not from caffeine. Caffeine masks our fatigue, doesn't actually provide you with energy. That's an important thing to think about. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into these, get moving a little bit here. Hydration. So your body's dehydrating during sleep. You need to drink 16 to 24 ounces of water first thing in the morning, ideally with some electrolytes. If you are working out in the morning, you can shift that to later in the day. Or after the workout. I personally really like sea salt or like lemon or lime in my water. But also it's not realistic every day to do that. So I only do that like really when I have the time or ability to do it. And usually I'm grabbing a drip drop and just putting that in, drinking that, and then delaying coffee until like after you get some hydration in is super important. Caffeine stimulates oxalic cells in our stomach. So it's going to make us want to produce more acid. And for our stomach, a lot of people say like, okay, I have coffee, and then it's like, I got to go to the bathroom like right away. And there's a reason for that. Well, let's actually like put some hydration, ideally some food in our body first before we just throw a bunch of caffeine at it. And then there is a lot of research showing that like delaying caffeine consumption till 2 hours after you wake has a lot of really good effects on your body. I'm not going to dive too far into that, but it is something to kind of think about. If you can even delay it 30 minutes, try and do that versus having it be the first thing you put into your body in the morning. Movement, like I said, blood flow, better energy and focus throughout the day. If you're short on time, it can be a 5-minute routine. If you have more time, you can do a short walk or stretch or even get in a short workout. Now, if you are someone where like you struggle with consistency, doing it first thing in the morning, regardless of whether it's you have the equipment or ability to kind of really focus on it during that time, can play a really big role in just making sure you actually get it in every day. And, if you're feeling stiff, you're someone who wakes out of bed and wakes up and you're sore, and, a lot of our ex-college athletes, like they have aches and pains that they've had since their playing careers. It can be a really good time to think about like, all right, we're going to stretch, we're going to do some mobility. We're going to, maybe do some preventative exercise to help us feel better, so we're not always in pain forever. I think it's a myth that you have to, just because you were injured as an athlete does not mean you have to be in pain for the rest of your life. Fuel. If you're not hungry, hydrate now, eat a little bit later, but always start with the hydration. Always focus, like if you have to prioritize one area. I always think of proteins and healthy fats first thing in the morning. To me, I think if I have like load up my protein more in the morning, then it's way easier during the day to make sure you're staying balanced kind of within a caloric breakdown, because everyone says protein is the hardest thing to get in, but if you kind of start with a little bit of a head start in the morning, it makes it a lot easier throughout the day, and helps balance glucose levels, helps you just sustain energy throughout the day, and also keeps you full a little bit longer when you pair that with the healthy fats. Quick options: eggs, avocados, protein shakes, Greek yogurt with nuts. Greek yogurt with fruit's a really good one. And to me, there's no excuse for breakfast, because like you can prepare some stuff ahead of time. You can have overnight oats. You can buy mush, which is kind of like a pre-made overnight oat. You can make smoothies. You can have boiled eggs. You can even now, like you can go to Costco and you can get an egg white sandwich that's ready to go. And is that the best option in the world? No, but is it better than us just not eating or maybe having, something that's not a healthy option there? Then that's definitely going to take the priority over doing those unhealthier options. And then mental priming, it's one of those things you hear people say they have a 3-hour routine or they'll cold plunge or sauna and do all these things. And by all means, if you think that's what's going to work for you, then great. But it doesn't have to be the main thing that you focus on. But there are some simple things that you can kind of just dive into first. And even as simple as having like 3 deep breaths and just setting your intention of what kind of mindset you have in the day. This is actually my fallback for when I don't quite have the time that I normally want. I'll just sit down I'm always the first one downstairs, and I'll sit down and I'll just take 3 deep breaths and just allow myself to think for 1 to 2 minutes, and just allow myself to like clear my mind and start the day and control my own thoughts. If you want to get focused, like writing down the priorities of things you need to focus on is important, because it kind of allows you to put everything else to the side and only focus on those things. And finally, it's easy to start the day overwhelmed with the millions of tasks you have going on. I'm probably speaking a little faster because I'm going straight into a call at 1:30 today, and I'm going to be in calls straight for the next 3 hours after that. And so it's easy to look at that and think like I'm just going to be reactive the whole day. But I started the day taking some time to focus on what I am really grateful for and what's important to me, and setting those intentions. And it allowed me to be in control of the day, which is versus where I could have been really reactive to everything that was taking place throughout the day. So some common roadblocks, and I don't even like to think about them as roadblocks, but more so as kind of like misbeliefs around, just having the time. It's like, I don't have time. You can always add 5 or 10 minutes. You can set your alarm clock 5-10 minutes earlier. You can develop discipline to wake up at a certain time. It's not one of those things where you can't do it because it's a time where you've been sleeping. So like you can make sure you have time to do it. It's just making sure you have the discipline to make it happen, and not blaming your situation and taking control of it and being the one to decide if you're actually gonna have time for that in the morning. I keep skipping it. 1, tie it to something you already do, tie it into your routine. And 2, set an appointment with yourself. Non-negotiable alarm clock with it on your calendar. Like, this is what I'm doing. And for me, I've always been a list type person. So it's listed out on a piece of paper that I see every single day on my desk, where it's like, that's what I'm starting my day with tomorrow. That's what I'm starting my day with tomorrow. And so just a part of my routine, it's on my calendar every day. And then I fall off after a few days. Start small and make it very simple and add to that. You don't have to do this big routine or think I'm going to do all these steps. Your entire morning routine should be 4 steps or less. And if you can't get consistent with 4, start with 1. Like build 1 and kind of build on top of that as you go. So final thoughts, next steps: keep it simple, consistent, keep it personal to you. Doesn't have to be what you see online. It can be what's actually gonna work best for you. And pick one habit and start tomorrow, so you're not just like trying to think of this elaborate routines. It's easy to think of like we're planning. I'm just like write out this perfect list, and then you're 3 days in, it's not possible. Think one thing and start with that. And then have your morning routine be your first win for the day. So that's all. Maddie, you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to throw out there?
No, I think that was really great. I thought the gratitude thing, that was a really great way to start the day. And kind of the whole thought process behind that is actually what I picked to do my thing about.
There we go. Awesome. Well, Hope everyone that listens to this later enjoyed it. Like I said, this would be a weekly thing for us, kind of what we'll be providing to you guys. So feel free to pop questions. We'll be posting this into our school community. So if you're listening to this via our podcast, we do have a school community for ex-college athletes. So that link will be in the bio for you to click on and join that group. And you'll be able to kind of pop on there and ask any questions you have related to this subject or any other subjects. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.